This is also what the car was clarified to me. So I didn't go with the file. I left all registered files, all subject files, all personal files, and all files which belong to the land board.
Members, I think we can, before we proceed, because those who interacted with the Bale District Land Board in Bale, we had the same thing that the file was, the clerk went with the file, requested for it and signed for it. Even when we interfaced again here, again the senior land management officer echoed the same. And here the cow is saying that he didn't go with any issue. What do we do?
Thank you, Chair. I was of the view that since he's a senior citizen of the country, could you have interested yourself to have a photocopy of your original handover report so that you can see that clearly it was a part of the issues you handed over when you were leaving the district?
That even then you had requested for the handover report.
Thank you, Chairman. Chair, as before we proceed, I just wanted to know from the former cow, what was the reason of you asking for the file? And if you signed for the file when you are getting it from land, why did you take it back after using it? So my first question is, what was the purpose? Why did you want the file? Then after using the file as a cow, why did you take it back and it is captured in the records? Then the last one is what my colleague is saying, is the same file captured in the report, the handover report, among the documents you handed over to the next cow.
Thank you, Chair. In the first place, I didn't ask for this file. As I indicated earlier, I didn't handle a single file on custodian board lands in Soroti for the entire 4.5 years I stayed there. So I didn't ask for them for it. Therefore, since I didn't ask for it, I could not also hand it over back, because these files for land that in the board. Then we have files which are in the central registry. Those are subject files and personal files of staff that we keep there. So I didn't do that. In my handover report, I cannot remember the details. It was a thick report of nearly 60 to 80 pages.
Maybe a simple reminder to you. A simple reminder to you, it could be of interest on your side. When we were in Mbari, your colleague who is just on your left told us that you requested for the file, and since then, I mean in Soroti, you requested for the file, and since then you have never returned it. We called your current colleague who is the acting cow now. He said he didn't see it just because you did provide it when you are handing it over. You intentionally requested for it. Chair, I would request that we put him on hold. We put the gentleman on hold, the former cow, because the land officer told us that he requested for the file, and since then he never returned it. The original one.
Before I rule on that, let me invite the current cow to tell us what transpired then and the reason as to why you had summoned you on that and what transpired then. Then I can rule on what the honorable member suggested.
Yeah, Chair and members, thank you for the invitation. When we returned to base, we had to look for the delivery book, which indicated who signed for the file. And the senior lands officer has that book with her. There's a signature which we tried to verify to see exactly who could have signed the file. maybe she can explain more on that signature and how the file moved from land registry to the Cows office. And she's available.
Senior Land Management Officer.
Thank you, Chair. When we left here last Thursday, I went straight back to records, so I was able to access a delivery book that indicated that the file left the land registry and went to Cows office under subject matter file 1203/2. That is on the 18th May 2012. And the file was received at 3 p.m. That is a 3:15.
Can I have a
So
look?
there is a signature here. Unfortunately, I do not know the person who signed.
Can I have a look? What does SMO mean?
Chair, that is somebody's signature, I don't know.
Then can we take it that by the time you appeared before the committee, you lied to us that it was the current cow who had signed for this file?
Chair, I did not lie because when you were in Soroti and you called for that file, that is the first time I came to know that it had left the land office, and this was shown by the outcard. So together with the so when we went deeper, that's when we were able to.
Who is Gidedo Stephen?
Gidedo Stephen is the file name that left the land registry.
Then cow, who signed as cow on 18th May 2012. Who was the cow then?
In 2012, it was Mr.
2012, yes. Mr. Kelly. So I think I'm preempted to get the truth from the two officers. I therefore would like to rule on what Honorable Panada suggested. Yes, Honorable. I want to rule on this.
Mr. Chairman, from what has transpired and what transpired before, it appears we are going into areas of expertise which MPs don't have. Why don't we handle these people to police? Because this is saying this one, the other is denying the signature, and we have experts on our side. I would suggest we hand them over to police.
Members, before we reach there, I think our instinct here is to get the truth from these from our officers, and thereafter unless when they have failed to hit to the request of the committee, then we can revoke some of our rules of procedure, which I think stand. So with that, I request direct the clerk to administer oath to the former cow and the senior land management officer of Mbari. Thereafter we proceed. Thank you. Sorry.
Now the current cow, when this matter started, have we taken time to read through his handover report to see whether this matter was captured in the report?
Thank you very much, Honorable. I have not accessed that handover report, and in any case, I don't expect him to list files which are being handed over, because it's not in any handover report. You can never list all the files the registry, because in thousands. What you normally do is just hand over the registry as it is, and since the officers are there, they'll be able to manage. But I've never come across a report where they can list down files in the registry.
Now the land office. Did you get to know that this file was requested for by COW's office since you are in office?
Thank you. It was on the 15th of this very month when this committee visited Soroti, and the matter concerning that file was raised. That's when I came to know that it left the land registry to COW's office. Otherwise, I've never handled any issue regarding that property.
Now, if you're in the office, why don't you identify the owner of that signature? Because either it is your staff or somebody you know.
It was my staff who delivered the file after it was requested by that subject file, and whoever received it there, I don't know.
I was not invited. Who is that staff?
Mr. Chairman, could the lady maybe tell us under what circumstances do usually files called to go into the COW's office? Is it after tender board meetings, something happens, or somebody has applied? Under what circumstances should this file go to the COW's office?
Thank you. Normally, land files are called to COW's office when there are issues. For example, when somebody has raised a complaint against a transaction of a certain property.
A transaction where?
Pertaining a property.
In the land board or what?
It depends. Whether in the land board or when people have issues on ground. So they can lodge a complaint in COW's office and the file is called from the land registry. Then secondly, we also have court matters concerning land. So when maybe the district is sued, so in such circumstances, COW also needs to understand circumstances surrounding a particular property. So there also you find that a file is requested for.
And you know those cases, those matters are put on that file. If there's a land dispute, if there's what, somehow it goes on that file, particular file. I'm asking you, madam.
Come again?
I see the circumstances under which the file is called, the ones you have just told us. Can I assume that those matters are put on that file?
Yes, the matters are put on the file.
So what is on the file now? Why was it called in the COW's office?
What I was informed that a complaint was raised by Mr. Oduch, and also he had attempted to sue the district on the said property.
Yeah, requested for the file, was it just a formal call, a formal request? He wrote somewhere that you see, I request for that file, he gave you a phone call, or it was through someone that you gave out the file?
Chair, it was not me directly, through records, because according to the delivery book, it shows that it came with a complaint, a land complaint file at the main registry, whereby that file was requested.
Who is this Mr. Duj?
He's a complainant who is around.
Is the one who is here?
Yeah, he's a complainant.
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out how is your filing system done and how is the procedure done? Does somebody just go and pick a file and give it out without your consent? And if it was a matter in the COW's office, can COW discuss with your junior staff without your knowledge about the file? How is it done? I thought you are supposed to be part of the discussion in the COW's office, but also from COW's recollection and the former COW member you're on oath, you are saying you have never handled any matter in your office concerning this block. Is it true?
I've not handled.
So now, who is that COW's office if the COW saying he doesn't know?
Thank you.
And Mr. Duj, what were you complaining about?
You come on the microphone near you because whatever I was saying is on record.
Mr. Chairman, I was complaining about plot 19 Soroti. I did write a letter on the 12th August 2009 to Chief Administrative Officer Soroti, which letter I never got a reply up to now. It was about plot 19, complaint for delay in granting me redevelopment lease for property on plot 19 Soroti. This is the subject, but I never got any reply up to now. Maybe that's the time. I think when the cow called for this file, I just assume.
Before we proceed, I request the Bale witnesses and the district to go in the other boardroom in a situation of standard operations procedures. I think we have gone beyond the required number in the room, so the sergeant you can pass their sergeant who can help you. You sit in the other room so that our people can also sit in the other chairs. Then after these ones, we can invite you to come and appear. Thank you. Yeah, you can sit back and let it come as well.
Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Tuchit, he appears he's put in a complaint they say is handled by the cow's office. Now maybe the former cow can tell us, apart from him, who else under the cow's office was handling cases of complaint.
Thank you, Chair. The cow.
Before you proceed, members, some you can come and fill these chairs here, so that can give you space. Some can come and fill the other side, this side. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. When complaints are brought to the cow's office, they are brought to that office. And in the cow's office, there's the chief administrative officer. There is one deputy. I think in 2012, I had a deputy. And then there are a number of assistants. So when somebody comes, whether the cow is not in office, the cow's office remains there. They come and raise their complaints. In most cases, those complaints are done formally, like the one Mr. Albush has just said he wrote in 2009. Unfortunately, the handling of the file is talking of 2012. So when they come with a complaint, like in writing, like he has put, if the complaint requires the file in order to get the facts so that a resolution can be done, then the cow requests for the file on that complaint in writing, because that letter is supposed to be part of that file. It's a complaint which has come, say, senior land officer, or whoever he is, we are referring it to, because it can be in another department. Please produce this file so that we can resolve. It is never done verbally.
No, you can write on the very letter of Mr. Dodd.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You write that we need this file. Because that file, that very letter must be now the last letter on that file from that date. This is what we do.
Yeah. If I may ask, is that letter that the cow is referring to, is it there on the file so that we can be able to ascertain who exactly requested for the file? Because we don't seem to be having the information of whose signature it is in the delivery book, who acknowledged receipt of that file. But if the letter requesting for the file is there and is put on the file, can it be availed so that we look into it? Maybe we can be able to ascertain who exactly handled the case. Thank you.
you can administer oath to Mr. Gidudu, then we proceed once on this matter. Those are saying they want to go, if maybe they are going to be handed, we are going to hand you. Please.
I, Gidudu Stephen, businessman in Soroti, staying within plot 19B, Soroti Avenue, do declare, do solemnly solemn affirm that this moment I shall give on this matter before the Public Accounts Committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
That when they removed the file from the registry, your name did appear on the file card. Those files which had gone out, and you were not a complainant then. Why is it that your name was recorded? Were you the one who had requested for the file? You can take the mic there.
That I don't know that there matter about that.
Senior Land Management Officer, how did the name of Mr. Gidudu, what is the use of this card? If you can help the committee to know.
Thank you, Chair. This is an outcard showing where a file has gone.
So on that record that had gone to Mr. Gidudu, what?
No. In the record here, on the first column, we have a reference, a file reference number, Ellen Croft /7756. Then the title of the file or the file name is Gidudu Stephen. So this file we are talking about is Gidudu Stephen's file containing the records he had with the land board.
Custodian board. may ask Mr. Gidudu Stephen,
Honorable.
before you proceed. Mr. Gidudu Stephen, how did you come to own plot 19?
I came to own that one by the former owner, Mr. Anthony Ole.
Mr.?
Anthony Ole. He gave me that plot at a good will at 3.5.
Could you be knowing the person of Mr. Samson Oduchu?
Just my neighbor. Just a neighbor. The same road is on A and B.
Did you go ahead to go acquire the title of the same under from Soroti District Land Board?
Yes, after signing the agreement with the custodial board.
Signing agreement with custodial board?
30 days at the custodial board. Went on with that plot, paying no more rents to the custodians. They had still the case with the district land board, where I made the application and they granted me the plot. 18
Mr. Mr. Oduchu. Mr. Oduchu. Mr. Oduchu. How did you come to own the property?
I got allocated plot 19, so that is long time ago on the 2nd August, 1979, by Soroti Allocation Committee by then. After the fall of me, there was a committee called the Allocation Committee of Party Asian Property.
No, before we proceed that, were you owning the whole plot or?
Yes, I was given the whole plot.
The whole plot?
The whole plot.
How can that Mr. Anthony, was it Anthony?
Anthony was the one who brought Mr. Gidudu as a salesman. He came into that place by force. I had the whole building, but I was staying on the western wing. Then when that gentleman came, he broke the padlock, entered there by force. After getting there by force, he got hold of Mr. Gidudu as a salesman of his business. Then later on, Anasani decided to sell that particular part. Mr. Gidudu, General Scott and so. So, after learning of that one, I made a complaint, as you must have seen. I made a complaint several times. I even tried to buy this plot in 1999. I never got any reply. I tried again in 2002 to buy it. I was not given.
But in plot 19A, by that time were they subdivided or they subdivided them before, after Mr. Gidudu applying for subdivision or for the title of his part?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, before that one, it has not been divided. But I learned from the division some 8 years ago, after the land board has divided. I learned of it later. So I made a complaint again, complaining about it, saying that the land, the plot is mine because I've been living paying for the whole plot for all those years, since 1979 up to now. Even the receipts which I have there and there, so for which something up to that. Plot 19 sold and
Mr. Gidudu, have you been paying when did you start paying because I'm seeing receipts here in regard to plot 19, Soroti from could you have any receipt which you have been paying as the whole property, or you've been paying for that part of yours, and when did you start paying?
I've been paying for the 19 bill only.
When did you start paying? 1985? 1986. Could you be having any receipt?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Gidudu wrote a very interesting new method of buying property. He said he bought under goodwill. I thought goodwill is a change of service, not taking property. Because you said you bought it from somebody under goodwill. What is this? Goodwill, and from whom?
Now I'm living the business.
No, but if you live a business in my building and you put in somebody else, doesn't mean that you take property. You just take the space. That's what they do in goodwill. Because you have just told us that you got that one under goodwill.
And because you said you gave me a goodwill, say proceed, so you are living from there.
Who is that one? Goodwill.
I think, Mr. Gidudu, would I be wrong to say that being a shrewd businessman, having bought a goodwill, you maneuvered your way through district land board, and you took part of the property because you could see Mzee is too old to follow up the matter before the district land board.
So that time also when you gave me that business, that Lord, was also very not at that time. Because I've also been there since 42 years there.
Members.
That argument was made by the people judge in Soroti.
Members, the way I see this issue, I don't know whether I see it the way I see it. We can't conclude it now because I'm seeing a fraud in it. I'm seeing, because even the procedure in which the district land board used, if I told they would have visited the locus, but the way how they did seems they never visited the locus to ascertain what they were giving out. And before I conclude, let me hear from custodian board.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable Chair, I beg to submit in regard to property comprised in plot 19, Soroti Avenue, LRV 237 folio 17. Honourable Chair and members, this property fell under the ambits of the concerned board after the exodus. Honourable Chair, records reveal that this was a property registered to the proprietors and the leasehold for 23 and 4 months, effective 1948. By simple calculation, this lease expired in 1971. But given the circumstances that the agent who had leased this property had a building on the property, meaning that the agent did not have time to renew the lease, and since there was a property, that property squarely fell under in the hands of the Cosase board. Honorable Chair, subsequently, the DAPCB reverted this property into the hands of the controlling authority because the lease had expired.
When did you revert the property?
This year, according to our document in 2006, there was communication to that effect.
In 2000?
In 2006.
Expired in 71.
Yes, then actually the real record of handing over the property to the controlling authority was in 2004. Then on file, we have receipts of rent payment by Liberation Stores, and also there was communication by MS Oit and company advocates when Mr. Oduch Samson misinterpreted the law and perhaps thought that he was paying rent to Cosase board erroneously. But Cosase board answered back, and they told Oduch that there is no way how Cosase board can refund the rent he had paid to Cosase board. In the first instance, he was using the services of the property, and also we had the legal mandate as a board to control the property at that time before it was handed over to the controlling authority. Then on our chair, also on file, and without prejudice, we have got, there is a document, but it was not copied to Cosase board, but I have found it on file. Like in paragraph 8, the land officer in the name of Edison Eto is expressing an idea that since there are two sitting tenants, i.e. Samson Opoda Oduch and Stephen Kidudu, occupying 19A and 19 Gislot Avenue respectively, the two share the house, as has been the case with other Cosase board properties and other government properties. Honorable Chair, this document,
Can I have that?
this document can serve as circumstantial evidence.
Can I have?
Honorable Chair, I beg you to submit.
Thank you.
Yes.
Members, if I may ask, did you ever receive that letter before you? You can have that.
I don't remember receiving this. The letter is dated 2009, before I was called there. Could have been received earlier.
I think, members, when you look at this data, this matter, I think the District Land Board of Soroti, they have ever had it, and because the plot was fallen before Custodian Board property, and the land officer then, Mr. Edson Etwau, advised the two occupants of the same plot to share the property. And he gave some examples of plots: 18 Mobile Road, Plot 63 Query, Plot 71 Query. If I may ask Mr. Samson Oduchi, would you feel comfortable if the Soroti District Land Board can, with this opinion of sharing the property, would you feel comfortable to share? You have a title of your part, and Mr. Gill will also have a title on the other part. Because now this property falls under the controlling authority, that is Soroti District Land Board, according to the facts on the ground, which means it is under the district they can choose to give it to whoever has applied with the necessary requirements as per the district land board had said. Mr. Oduchi.
Mr. Chairman, what defeats me is that would this one council?
I've asked you a question. I just want you to go to the question and
I wouldn't be happy. Because when it comes to development, the site plan of this building is not standard measurement. It's never 100. When it comes to development, it becomes very difficult. Particularly.
50 by, can you get a title 50? That's something which is below 50 and by 100?
Yes, the standard one is 50. The one we are occupying is 50 by 100.
Senior Land Management Officer, 10 minutes.
And then second, they are being paid the whole plot of this house. And the municipal council didn't tell me anything. I never even got a letter inviting that house. I was taken by surprise. I've never had a letter from them.
Yes.
And the other time when Mrs. Shaw was in charge, he said to me, to Bali, to government value, to come and value the house. So in 2004, the letter, the value appeared and went around the house and made a report. In that report, I had intention, in fact, of buying the plot. He valued it at 8 million, and then premium was about